Okay, we're on to part 8 and we're going to try and make a larger level. But before we start that, I made a mistake in create two viewports. Let me show you what the mistake is. Well, the effect of it anyway. We have no player scores on screen. Okay, now the player scores are generated by the dynamic text system, which uses the text sprite layer, which by default is associated with viewport 0, the full screen in our case. But I made a boo-boo. When I create the player views, the active ones, I'm not clearing any previous player views. Okay, so I'm really badly breaking. I end up with 4 player views. So what I've got to do, so I'm in create two viewports or viewport manager. I just need to make sure before I add the new views that are active, I just say engine manager dot active player views dot clear. Just make sure I get rid of any of the viewports that I've set. That will fix the scoring system. So let's just run that just to confirm that that's worked. And there you go, player 1 and player 2 displayed on screen again. So I can actually shoot that right from there. I can't because I'm not a very good shot. Oh, no, that's not going to get it. Oh, that's got to get him surely. Hey, okay. Right, anyway, so that was just a fix. So make sure you do that first. So we just gm.active player views clear. Okay, right, so we're going to create a larger level. Now to do that, we need to create a graphic. So we're going to right click on graphics and we're going to say add new item. We're going to pick PNG and we're going to name this, oh, I don't know, level 2. Seems like the other one was called level 1. Now I've got my default editor set up to be fireworks. So if that hasn't worked for you, remember, if it's opened up in the designer window here, just right click on level 2 and say open with, scroll down. If Adobe Fireworks isn't in the list, go to add programs, and then if you're on your machine at home, you need to go to program files x86 Adobe Fireworks and select it. Okay, but mine's already set up, and if you previously set that up, you should be good to go. Right, let's delete the image that it's already created and let's change the canvas size. So I'm going to go for a canvas size or an image size. Oh, let's change the canvas size actually. We can do it down here on this little button. I'm going to go for 2000 by 2000 pixels. Massive. So I'm going to zoom out. And again, it's up to you how you draw these. So I'm going to use a brush. I'm going to set my canvas color first. So I'm going to have, let's have a desert. Yeah, I know it doesn't look much like a desert, but it'll give me the illusion. So, in fact, what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to set the canvas color back to transparent, and I'm going to draw a rectangle using the rectangle tool, covering the whole. Oh, I'm always doing things like that. Let's just delete that. Covering the whole canvas. Right, I don't want an edge, so I'm going to pick the little pen tool there, which is the edge tool, and set that to 0. But I do want a fill. Okay, so I'm going to pick a solid color. I'm going to go for my sand again. Whatever that. I don't know what color sand is. Oh, it's not that color. Oh, I don't know. That. And I'm going to give it a texture. Now it's got grain as the default and it's completely transparent, but you can bring it in. Okay, so that's opaque. So I want to see a bit of color. So I'm going to leave that as me color. I cannot do that for the path, remember. The path needs to be solid black. So I'm using the brush now. I'm going to put hard line. I'm going to make my brush massive. Probably, let's make it 65. Oh, might make it bigger than that actually. I'm going to make it 72. Okay, and I'm going to basically chisel out areas. So I'm going to make start areas. Eventually I'm going to do this for 4 players. So I'm going to make 4 corners start points. Okay, so I'm just going to do that bit first. Obviously you can take as long as you like making these, but I'm already bored, so I'm doing it quite quick. What I'll do is that the start positions are going to be the top left, top right, bottom left corners. Okay, so I'm going to make some paths that the players are going to be able to follow with some interesting features, hopefully. Like I say, this is where level design matters, so you can get like little ambush points. So let's give everybody 2 escapes from their areas. Yeah, that'll do. So that's going to be my new game map. I'm going to make this a bit wider. I'm going to make that a square. Well, it's not a square, but you know what I mean. Like a piazza. Right, I'm going to make sure I save that, because if you don't save it, then Visual Studio doesn't know anything about it. Right, so again, when we create a graphic, it's just a graphic. We need to load it into a texture. So we need to go into assets. Remember, assets is in setup and storage. So we need to find space for a texture. So look for the other textures. So if you can't find it in the code, use the picker and just go to where you think the textures are. So let's have another one, static texture 2D TX level 2 map. I'll just call it, keep name consistent at least. Okay, and then we need to go to start preloader and just copy and paste one of these graphic loading lines and tell it when you've loaded the graphic, put it in level 2 map. And the graphic we want, remember, we don't put the extension on, but it's called level 2. If you spell a file name wrong, you'll get an error saying file not found. So read the error message and it'll tell you what graphic you've messed up. Okay, so that loads the graphic. We've only got 2 more little bits to do. So we need to, just for testing purposes, in a later video we'll show how to set these level structures up. If we go to the construct of a game container, if we just, where we set the level map, if we just change that and say, remember if you delete up to the object that you're trying to find an item from, you can put the dot down and the picker is activated again. So we want TX level 2 map, and then we need to change player 2. Right, so player 2 doesn't want to be at the right hand side of the screen. Player 2 now wants to be at the right hand side of the world. Okay, so instead of the screen size rectangle, I'm going to delete, I'm going to keep the dot right bit, but I'm going to put GM dot, and then I'm going to say engine manager, and then the world rectangle. And we want the right hand side of that, and then 100 pixels in. So hopefully this black area here is 100 pixels in from the edge. If it isn't, we'll have to mess about. Okay, so not a massive change to actually do that. So just make sure that the player 1 should be right, because if we look at player 1, we just said of the left-hand side of the screen. I mean, if you want to be complete about it, let's change that to engine manager dot world rectangle. The nice thing about the IntelliSense is it remembers the last things you did. So I didn't really do much typing at all there. I was only pressing dot and enter. So we're just saying, right, okay, 100 in from the left-hand edge of the world. That's it. That should be it. Let's run it and see what we've got. Press start. Oh no, player 2's in the complete wrong positions. We'll come back to that. But player 1, oh, Cam Studio's struggling. And you can see that nice texture grain. Ooh, something's gone horribly wrong there. Ah, my player's not going all the way over the edge. Interesting. So we got a bit of a problem there. Let's investigate that. Where is my game container? Right, it's an ordering issue. What I'm doing, if we go to level map, that's a nice error that because it's an error based on sequence. Remember the three constructs: sequence, selection, and iteration. And you think sequence, oh, that's just getting stuff in the right order. That's easy. Who makes mistakes with that? Yeah, well, we got a mistake here. So if we look at level map, it sets the world size. Okay. Now we set up the players in Actor to be restricted to the world box. So let's have a look at game container again. So we create the players first. The world box by default is the screen size. So we say like restrict them to the screen size, but the level map is huge. And then we set the world bigger afterwards. So if we just move this first so that the world is set before the players are created, then that should have fixed that little bug. That's a nice bug that. I like that. A pure logic error to do with sequence. There's nothing wrong with the code, they're just the logic's rubbish. Right, hopefully, you see, player two's actually fixed now because that was related to that, because he couldn't move outside the world, and we wanted him to go to position 1900, which he couldn't. Right, oops, gone backwards. Forgotten the keys there. Right, so I've got a nice big map. Oh God, I think I'm going to slow my characters down and say, hello, hello, player two. Oh no, I'm off to the piazza. And I can't remember where the piazza is. Oh, where is it? Oh, there it is. There's the piazza. Ah, dear. But we have got space now to have a couple of starting points for a couple more players. The way that we're doing the scoring is not going to work for multiple players because we've like hardwired it. So we're going to use, in another next video, we'll do some arrays, set some arrays up for doing the scoring, which will make things simpler and a little bit more flexible. Okay, let's just prove that player one's scrolling around. Independently, and that the bullets is still working. The bullets should still be working. Okay. And that's how you get a big, big, big level. You can't, unless you've got fancy graphics cards, you can't really load textures much bigger than 2000 by 2000. The ones at college, I think we could go up to 4096 by 4096. So you can create images that big, but you can make tile maps by stitching together lots and lots of images. So you can make like multi-part images or repeat images to make wider tile maps and taller tile maps and stuff. Okay, so that's it for tonight. So I will record, I've already sorted all the code out, but I need to record the vid for the 4-player version and allowing you to select what level you want to be on and stuff like that. Okay, so that'll be a little bit of refactoring of code to make it more flexible. All right, I will leave you to it.